And good afternoon. Welcome, everyone. It is Tilson Live. It's Tuesday. It's 2 o'clock. You know what that means. We are live on Facebook, live on YouTube. We are here to answer all of your questions. My name is Eric Alarid. I'm here with Dawn Dantzler, as I am each and every week. We are part of Tilson Homes. We are here to talk to you about all things building on your land. So what we want to do is talk to you guys about all your questions about design, all your questions about financing, all your questions about building a home on your land if you're thinking about it. But today, we do have a very special guest. We'll introduce in a minute. We have to build up the anticipation, Dawn. How are you doing today, Dawn?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Super. I'm doing super. So we got a little bit of rain, a little bit of wind last night. So folks, I know if you've got a job site out there, it may be a little messier today than it was yesterday. Okay, we've already heard. So bear with us a little bit. But the reason this is, by the way, guys, jump in, tell us where you're watching from, tell us where you're building, tell us what part of the process that you are in. We love hearing from you guys. We are here for you to answer your questions. We know this stuff, or at least we think we do, and we have to be here whether you're here or not. So we do this for you guys. So jump in, tell us where you're watching from, tell us where you're building, tell us what part of the process that you're in, because, Dawn, who do we have with us today?
We have Tom Homer, the Vice President of Construction for our Gulf Coast area. So today we're going to do a very special Ask a Builder, because you guys do ask us a lot of questions about construction, and Eric and I give you our best answers, but we thought we should bring in somebody who actually knows what he's talking about. So
yeah,
hi, Tom. Thank you for joining us.
Howdy, folks.
What's up, Tom? Thanks for jumping in, man. And so, we went and retrieved a guy who does this in spades, y'all. This is all he does. He can do construction with his eyes closed. We asked that he not to, but he can if he needed to. So, Tom, again, folks, y'all tell us where you're watching from. Tell us where you're building. Tell us what part of the process that you're in. We are live on Facebook, live on YouTube. And what we also want to know, Tom, tell us a little bit about your journey. Like, obviously, you didn't start doing this yesterday, certainly not even for us. Kind of what got you into the home building industry, and tell us a little bit about your journey that brought you where you are today, sir.
So I actually went to school in Ohio, went to college up there to finish, and I started in the wood floor business.
Okay.
So in Ohio, there's obviously basements. So you get to actually nail it to the wood floor and sand it, finish. So it was it was interesting. So anyway, got started there, came back down to Houston and worked for a couple of other builders and found Tilson, and happy sec to be here.
Yeah, and so I know a few of the roles you've had here. Of course, you were over the a department near and dear to my heart, same place I started, which is our customer care, our warranty department. Yeah. You actually ran that for a while for us, so grateful for that. That is I
did not know that.
Yeah, those are the unsung heroes, the quiet warriors of Tilson Homes.
Absolutely.
Not taking away from anything that everyone does in the great Tilson family, but the warranty department, that customer care, those folks at the end of the day, taking those phone calls and going out and addressing those customers' issues on their homes. That's something that we take very seriously. And actually, a lot of times, we take it for granted because not every builder does that, right? I mean,
right.
A lot of builders, the building superintendents handle their own warranty. Is that right?
That's probably a majority of folks out there. Absolutely. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, and so and the drawback of that, by the way, could be, not saying this is always the case, but it could be like that builder's kind of moved on to the next houses that he or she is charged with building because that's their job, right? This one's done, this one's closed, but they're still supposed to be taking care of it. So anyway, I love the way we have it set up. I love that we have leadership like you, like Christy, to take care of those folks so that they can take care of our customers. So again, y'all jump in. Tell us where you're watching from. Tell us where you're building. I know we got some YouTube watchers because I went and jinxed it, by the way, said that we're going to have issues with YouTube. Turns out we're not.
Yeah, I can tell that Facebook is connected, just for whatever reason, it's not coming in through the platform. So I've pulled that up separately and I'll just read them off too, but we can start with the YouTube folks.
Beautiful.
We have Lisa coming in from Fort Worth, but building a to be determined plan in Bridal Gate in Bandera County.
Oh, nice. Okay, beautiful.
We have our friend watching from Florida. Welcome back. We have Lakeisha here from Houston, Texas, and haven't started process at all. Just here getting more information. Liberty County is where I'm building. Welcome. Thanks for joining us.
Excellent.
We've got Crystal, who's watching from Eagle, Texas, in Colorado County.
Cool.
And then over...
Go ahead. Go on Facebook. I forgot.
Yeah, over on Facebook, I've got Jennifer out of Kaufman. She just closed in August on her Fayetteville C.
Oh, nice.
We have Will Rhodes checking in from Klondike. Hey, Will. We've got Shantae. We are in the final stage of building our San Jacinto and Sugarland, looking to close at the end of November. Awesome.
Oh, cool. All right.
We've got Courtney building a San Jacinto in Blanco County, and it is rough out here.
Oh, yeah.
We've got Tara asking, how easy is it to add a gas tankless water heater after construction? We have electric being installed this week, but do not have gas on site. Is that something we can do or can be done?
After construction, as in the home is finished.
Yeah, let's address it both ways, right? So,
I mean, that's during the framing process before we put drywall up. Obviously, would be the easiest way to handle that, to add gas to the house. But after the fact would be kind of complicated because we're talking about drywall, we're talking about getting into walls. So I think the best route would be to do that before the home is in drywall. If I'm understanding that question correctly, right?
Yeah, it's hard to say, right? Because there's obviously companies out there that do retrofit, right? I mean, they'll go and put a gas tankless water heater in, but it is an invasive. I mean, and actually the gas piping part of it is probably not the hardest part, right? I mean, that's typically running in your attic anyway. And so you can do an exterior gas tankless water heater. The kicker is going to be getting the plumbing to it, right?
If we don't have, as I was saying, if it's just a total electric house and we're deciding we're going to go with just a tankless gas water heater, that gets a little tricky with gas, and so it can be messy.
Yeah, but it can be done.
Absolutely can be done.
Obviously, it'd be propane. If there's no gas on site, you would need to get a propane tank of some sort. Have a company go out and set that. And again, I don't know if you're somebody who's already closed on the home. Forgive me, we're flying a little bit blind because the software we're using isn't bringing in our Facebook comments. So Dawn's having to read them to us, and we're not. Look, I'll not speak for Tom. I'm not that bright of a guy, so it's and easily distracted on top of that. So there's a lot of things working against us, but we are going to answer all your questions. But that's a great.
Anything can be done, just about.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
there you go.
Just about, yeah.
All right, we've got John and Casey Tucker who are building a Canyon C in Navarro County and just poured their concrete.
Oh, nice.
I have to ask. We have Klondike.
So it is a north central Texas. It depends. We were just talking about this actually beforehand. The various what people call areas of Texas. But Old Will actually is a staple of Tilson Live, and he has he's got a working farm, homestead. I'm not going to label him as prepper, but as far as that, but you're talking, it is as he probably expected it, middle of nowhere. So it's North Texas for sure, Northeast Texas, kind of the Commerce, Sulphur Springs, kind of area. And if I'm wrong about that, Will, feel free to correct me, but that's
correct us.
Those are the largest. It is a suburb of Commerce, if you will.
I got you. I know where that is now. Okay.
Yeah, he's got a little hobby farm right now that he's like gearing up to make it kind of a little like small producing farm. So
I'm going to say there ain't nothing hobby about what he's doing. He's fully engaged.
He's an advanced hobbyist.
Yeah.
We have Gail, who's going to be building in Wise County and is currently living in Arizona.
Oh wow.
We have Jennifer, Jennifer Salters closed on August 29th with a few things still pending to be done. Is there a timeline to get pending items wrapped up? She's got window repair, wrong light fixtures, trim work, etc.
Tom, how are y'all tackling that? Because I know there's been issues with obviously getting supplies and things like that, but we're not wanting to prevent people from being able to close on and move into their homes. So what's the best route that y'all are wanting to handle that between construction and warranty?
It all depends on what it is. Yeah. Sometimes we were having issues with light fixtures. We still are. There's some products we can't get, but if we can get the product before you close, obviously, but I think there are some that we can't. We do note stuff. If all parties are in agreement, we can document that and go to close. It all depends on the situation. It depends on what it is.
Yeah.
What were the items again?
Window repair, wrong light fixtures, and trim work, etc.
Yeah, I mean, we would like to go to close with 0 items. Obviously, I think the trim repair can be done. Light fixture is something that's going to be depending on what the fixture is, and the window repair, I'm not sure what that means, whether it's a piece of glass or the actual frame of the window, but piece of glass, something like that as well. If we can't get the glass, that takes a little time as well. We could repair that after the fact too. That's not very invasive. So I think the trim is something we can do pretty quickly. But the other 2 items.
So who would you recommend she reach out to at this point if she's closed back in August?
So she has closed. Is this showing up somewhere where I can read this?
No. It is not. She is over on Facebook, unfortunately.
Okay, so I apologize for going back and forth. I'm trying to remember. I have to remember that. So, which county?
She did not say.
Yeah. Okay,
let me look.
I would think you could for sure reach out to our customer care.
Yeah, the customer care department for sure, and then we can go from there.
Yeah, and if it's something the builder has already, they'll touch base with the building superintendent to see if, has there been a PO, or has it been ordered? Are we waiting on it? Is it sitting at a McCoy store somewhere and we're waiting to go pick it up, or is it not there yet? But yeah, reach out to our customer care. You can actually fill out a deal on our website, or you probably shoot Dawn and Kelsey and Amanda a private message, and I bet you they'd be happy to take the football from there.
Yes. And then let's see, we've got Gretchen, who just signed to build our new home on Lake Richland Chambers. Nick at the Waxahachie Center has been amazing. Your team is so knowledgeable, and we are incredibly excited. Oh, thank you, Gretchen. I was
with him earlier this morning. We were actually visited about he was pretty excited about that sale. So thanks for trusting us. We appreciate it.
And we have Angela, who is in Hockley, Texas. We have met with Jessica and Brian and are gathering info.
Cool. I know where Hockley is. How about you, Tom?
I do know where Hockley is. Absolutely.
Backyard.
Nice.
Yes, sir.
We have Jorana, who is building a canyon in Pipe Creek. Stone and sheetrock it's supposed to have started last week, hopefully this week. So excited for that.
Cool.
Awesome. We've got Polly just waiting for the next step. Grapetown, Texas. We are dried in. So what would be her next step after being dried in?
So dried in would mean that we have decking and probably some roof liner on the decking. So we can actually do some work inside without obviously the weather prohibiting us from carrying on inside. So that means she's probably looking for plumbing, HVAC, and electrical, all the mechanical starting.
Awesome. Nice. Very good.
Although that rain we did get last night was well needed, but it did blow through pretty good last night.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And Tara's sharing that she is building a 4-bedroom Laporte in Kaufman. Hopefully HVAC, plumbing, electrical this week, floors next week, closing in December, or at least that's the goal.
All right.
Awesome. Will Road says that we are correct, but he is closer to Commerce and Cooper. That's where he is.
Got it.
Gail is asking if we have design centers for customers to look at tile, carpets, faucets, etc., to make choices from.
Dawn, what would someone do in a case like that?
Yes, Gail, you can go out to any of our design centers. We have 12 throughout the state where they have samples of all of those items that you can take a look at and kind of get a preview of what you have to choose from. So it'd be very easy to go visit one of those. We've got Angela, who is looking to build the canyon, made some great adjustments, reduced the size of the office, and took out the back wall of the pantry to make a huge 15-by-7 walk-in pantry. That sounds amazing. Sounds really nice.
That is big, yeah.
And then we have Casey asking a question regarding beams. Could you explain that process a bit to me? Are the beams a distressed look or a smooth texture? I've seen both type of beams. Really love the distressed look for the farmhouse look. We also have Nick helping us in Waxahachie, and he's amazing.
So beams.
How would you describe our wrap beams?
The wrap beams. So our cedar wrap beams in the home. Well, I'll leave that up to you guys. What are we looking for there? Is that a distressed look? It's more of a
I think so. So
it's
it's
called
certainly not a
rough
smooth
sawn.
finish.
rough sawn. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, that's more
Yeah, it's certainly not smooth. But it's not what I would call like super rustic either, right? I mean, there's not
Right.
like gigantic knots in it.
Right.
Mainly because it's cedar. It's a pretty fast growth tree, so it's not. You're not going to get large natural knots in it like you would in an alder or a hickory or something like that. So it's really. It is a very subjective and good question, because my idea of somewhat rustic, you could be like, no, that's very contemporary. And so I would say if you were to look on, you can actually look at McCoy's website probably and do a search for 1x6 cedar or 1x8 cedar. It's a pretty good picture of what's going to be delivered when we're wrapping beams. On the outside, it is a rough sawn for sure. It's a rough sawn cedar, like 4x12 or 6x6 or 4x8, 2x8, 2x6. So that it is rough sawn cedar. So it's not a smooth finish like you would find on like a stud or a 2x4 or a piece of random length lumber that we use. It's not smooth. It is kind of rough. Like if you were to rub your hands on it, you could get a splinter, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
You would get a splinter, yeah.
How many pull-ups you do, Tom? Maybe.
All right.
I think it's a clean rustic look.
Yeah.
It really is the way. It's really, it's not your full blown rustic look. It's very clean looking.
It's a great way to say it. Yeah.
Yeah. Back over on YouTube, we've got Rebecca. Happy Tilson Tuesday, watching from San Marcos.
Welcome.
We have Cleveland, Commerce, Texas. Just here to learn more. TU, Tilson University. Thanks for all the knowledge. Thank you.
I like it.
We've got Alex checking in from Dayton.
Hey, Dayton.
What's up?
We have John with a question about paint. Hello, I noticed that the finished paint looks like it has pinholes throughout the house. Can that be fixed, and what is the process?
That sounds like a texture, something to do with the texture. It says paint looking pinholes throughout the house. Is that the whole home? That may be something you'd get with your builder with. Without seeing it, I would really hate to comment on what that is, but it sounds like that's something to do with texture.
Yeah, usually it sounds to me like air bubbles.
Air bubbles, yeah.
In the texture, which does get covered up whenever you shoot the latex paint over top of it. But yeah, you definitely get some pictures over to your building superintendent and even meet them out there if you need to, if there's some spots you're really concerned about.
Right.
We'd like to look at it.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So we have another one on YouTube, building True Custom in Waller County, looking to close early December. Thanks for building our dream home. Oh, thank you for giving us the honor.
Yeah.
Nice.
We have Martina, who has counters delivered and most of the trim is up. Tile should be started this week. Awesome.
Sweet. I think that's out in Hamilton. She's an event, I think, out there.
Yeah. We have Andy building a custom rock wall in Sadler, Texas, Grayson County. Appraisal and commitment letter this week, then whatever the next step is with Tilson. Unfortunately, I think our build slot is Q1 23.
Yep. So it's ish. Yeah. Yeah. So that really the next step, once we get that appraisal and commitment letter, assuming we already have your engineer foundation design back, that'd be typically those are kind of the last 2 or 3 things we're waiting on before we release the your home plans to our estimating team. So it's typically the last things we're waiting on, and they don't necessarily come in this order, but they are that appraisal and loan commitment. Any kind of permitting, okay, from the county or subdivision or ACC. There's probably not a whole lot happening in Sadler, Texas, because I've been there and I'm familiar with it. But Grayson County does have a septic and building permitting process, which that's finalized, and then the engineered foundation design and any kind of that coupled with whatever kind of dirt work that we're going to be doing, which is very typical for us in that area. So those things are engineering and pad site, the final design, the appraisal and commitment letter, and any kind of permitting, septic, building, subdivision approval, all that. Those are the last typically 3 things that we're waiting on before we send that on out to our estimating team. I say out around the building to the estimating team.
Okay. He's given more info. He says, Keith Thorndike, who's amazing, by the way, said the foundation work should be done today. So hopefully we are close. We have our septic permit back already. So you're well on your way.
It's like a Nostradamus over here.
It's like you've done this a time or two.
So where's Sadler, Texas? I have to
ask.
You
are as close to Oklahoma as you can get, just about, and still be in Texas.
Okay, so that's okay.
Yeah, due north of Melissa, the next county up, which is the last county, Grayson
Gotcha.
County, and then you are at the Red River.
All right. Back over on Facebook, we have Amy, who's most excited about adding the patio door to bedroom 3 of our Angelina to make it a second office with its own entrance. Oh, that's super smart. I like that.
Or emergency exit. I'm out of here.
Escape hatch. Yeah. We got Julie, who's building a live oak in Johnson County. We're almost fully dried in already. Awesome.
Very good.
We have Cedric and Denise in the Richland Chambers area. Question, what is the minimum to be done to prepare for adding a generator after the build is complete?
Ooh, Tom Homer. Take it away, sir.
So after the build is complete, so are we asking what we can do after the build is complete, or
No. Well,
typically generator companies,
we're done.
Yeah, generator companies can come in and they'll have to trench from your gas meter, from your electric. They'll have to do obviously a lot of utility work with that. But I guess with the question, what's the question? I mean, is that
what does she need to? I'm not sure if she is under. Let me see if I can.
I mean, if it's under construction, if it's something we do, it's. I guess I didn't hear that correctly. After the home is built 100%, obviously the generator companies come in there and just turnkey it all, and that's what they do.
Yeah, that's what she's saying. What is the minimum to be done to prepare for adding a generator after the complete build?
Okay, so what the minimum we can do? I would say a gas stub, probably near the power source, is probably at minimum what can be done. Now, depending on where your gas is located as well. No, that'll be fine. Just a gas stub. That's probably the minimum. Now we can add all the wiring as well. We can have it fully ready for a generator company. All they just come in with a generator, hook it up, and they're out of there. So if she wants to get with the builder, or if it's during the sales process there, we can have capabilities of doing that.
Okay, she has not started construction. She's clarifying she hasn't started construction.
I would say that's something we can talk about then, because that's, in my opinion, much easier to do beforehand, cleaner. It's just easier to do. So it's actually a good question.
Yeah. And have you found that some of that stuff is proprietary anyway, like the automatic transfer switches? I mean, we're going to rabbit hole too much here, but
no, they're not.
Really? Okay.
No. So, I mean, that's, again, they like to put those in before you get all the power, all that stuff going too. So this actually is a great question. I highly recommend, if you're going to get a generator, I would do that. That would be my road to go down that road.
Okay. Piggybacking on that, Chris Archer is asking, on that subject, can you install a manual transfer switch for the incoming power?
Yes.
All right.
It's got to be timed right, though, so we can have the electrician do it while he's out there doing the panel. So it just has to be timed.
Okay. We have Courtney Morris asking, is it normal that we are at 16 months and no drywall? She's in Blanco County.
Courtney, I will take this one and say that if anything that's being done in the last 24 months is not normal. Blanket statement. And I do not intend, and please don't take that as a minimizing, because I am absolutely not. It's been a very difficult time to build homes for people, and be an even more difficult time to be building a home with a builder, to be a customer of one. So no, it is not normal. That said, I do know situations in areas like that where, we're unfortunately at that point, and it's not a place where we want to be either, right? I mean, we don't get paid for your home, as you know, till the house is finished, and your price was probably locked in over 2 years ago, right? So the fact that we want to get out there and get it nailed down and finished is an understatement. And not only just to get paid, that sounds very cold, but to get you guys in that home. That's really what it's about. We know you're tired. We're tired. We want it done. But so no, I empathize with you. I regret that that's the experience that you've had. But know that we're going to be with you every step of the way and finish that thing out and service it after it's done. So hang in there with us. We will get it done.
Okay. We have Angela asking, is it possible to have a Tilson rep visit our property to walk through concerns and questions prior to signing?
I mean, it's possible. There's not a whole lot we can tell you is the problem. And let me qualify that. If it's dirt and gravity is still operating, we can probably build on it. What we don't know, I've never ever been concerned of the stuff I can see out on a piece of property, right, Tom? I'm worried about what I can't see.
Right.
So what's the soil like underneath it? I don't know. How does it respond to moisture, lack of moisture? I don't know. And won't know just visiting a site. We won't know that until we get that geotechnical investigation done. And that really tells us the bulk of what we need to know. And unfortunately, we can't do that until we get the site evaluation done and have the house exactly staked to exactly where it's going, so that the soil testing company can go inside the footprint and do the geotechnical investigation that tells us the rest of the story. Now, we can certainly say that, hey, will it fit? Right? Like the questions like that we could answer by visiting the site potentially. We would definitely need to have a survey, like a current survey done. So you would need to provide us with a current survey, and then the flag, and ideally the corners would be flagged for us when we go out there, and that would tell us, again, what we're working with, and maybe drop a line, Angela, specifically tell us and Tom what you're worried about or what you may be concerned about, because his concerns and questions, and he may be able to walk us through some more insight. But broadly speaking, I'm never worried about what I can see. I'm worried about what I can't see.
Okay, that makes sense. We have Julie asking, are there any supplies harder to get right now than others?
Great question, Tom.
I think there are still, I would say everything is easy to get, but there are some things like appliances, I think, are still challenging. Some plumbing fixtures are still challenging. Beyond that, I mean, I imagine there's a few more things, but those are kind of the two of the ones that I'm seeing a little bit more than normal. But I do think the appliances for sure, and plumbing fixtures have been the ones that have really, kind of been back ordered or waiting on this fixture for the bathroom. Everything else is in, but we need this particular fixture. But if I was to just a couple of them right there, those are probably two. But overall, I think some things have gotten better. I don't think they're obviously back to normal yet. But no, I think there's a couple, 2 or 3 out there that are still difficult.
And Tom, she didn't ask this, but I'm going to ask it for her because I know she intended to. She specified supplies. What about labor? Is it hard to get right now?
Well, so geographically, let's talk about Gulf Coast, which I'm over right now, Central Texas, North Texas. Not speaking for those folks. For me, it's eased up some here. It's gotten a little better, but I still think it's still difficult. I think other home builders are still pretty busy trying to knock out homes this year. So it is just in my general area, it has eased up a hair. I've seen it some, but I can't speak for the other areas. I know they have some probably more challenges than I do for sure. But it's going to be geographical, depending on where you're at.
For sure.
Okay. And Angela was saying, the one that was asking about having somebody come to the property ahead of time, she was just trying to pre-plan. She's fairly sure she knows where she wants the house to sit. So I think she's just looking for somebody to kind of verify that that's going to work.
Yep. And again, we can do that. It depends on the area as far as, because obviously we're going to prioritize customers who are under agreement with us first. But if we happen to have bandwidth in a place like that, then potentially we could send someone out to take a look and meet you out there. Because we also need to know exactly what house you're wanting to build, with the exact changes that you're going to want to make, or at least have them pretty nailed down.
Okay. And Julie is sharing, they actually did my foundation framing and roof rafters in about 7 days, and the crews were amazing. So that's awesome to hear.
Oh, that is awesome, yeah.
We have Anne, who is sharing, all I want for Christmas is my Tilson house complete. We're at texturing drywall, so fingers crossed. Also, do we need to have the propane tank installed before closing?
Yes, we need propane to test all the appliances that run off the propane. So absolutely. Now your builder should get with you on that. I would think if they've given you a completion date, 30 days before that completion date, but I would absolutely have that. It needs to be installed for sure.
Okay. All right. And then we have Gail, who's working on plans and kind of reviewing what he's seen done in the past. He's asking if we can address using OSB sheathing what you use as standard versus plywood or zip systems for Texas build. So why do we do it the way we do it?
I know I have opinions, but I will defer to the construction expert.
What? So OSB sheathing, why?
So we use OSB and Tyvek on top of it. Why do
Yeah,
we do that versus
instead of
Advantex
plywood or a zip system?
Just putting plywood on there and no.
I mean, it's our preference. I mean, it's, you know, if you look around to other builders, you can drive around and see that we are probably one of the very few. There's some out there, but there's a lot of builders that don't use plywood at all. I mean, they'll use a cardboard material, basically is what it is. So, you know, the OSB sheathings is going to give it a more rigid feel. It's going to strengthen the home. So there's different ways to skin a cat. You know, versus plywood or a zip system, there's just different systems on how to put plywood. I think the zip system is just a one-step process where we do plywood and we wrap it in Tyvek. That zip system is already has a covering on it and tape it up. So yeah, that's just a preference for our company. We use the OSB.
Yeah, we like the flexibility that OSB and Tyvek gives us, as opposed to the zip. The zip's a great system. Okay,
Sure.
The Advantex zip system is a great system. Advantex is a great outfit. We use all our subflooring is Advantex stuff. The issue I have and we've talked about this before on lives, is the actual adhesive, the tape that needs to go on the seams. In my opinion, hands down, for real world situations, for an actual job site, right? Because we're not talking about these are not being built in a factory. Okay, you got wind blowing 40 miles an hour and dirt and dust and sand and trash. In my opinion, Tyvek's tape, where we have the joints, it is a more forgiving procedure than the Advantex zip system. So that if there's any debris on that tape at all, and you don't, by the way, they used to include the rollers. They don't include them. You got to go buy those separately now. But you're supposed to put that tape on there without any kind of trash whatsoever and roll each and every seam of the 4x8 sheet. I mean, it is a very good product. I just, in my opinion, from a real world application standpoint, it's very difficult to do that at scale and ensure really good joints.
Definitely less seams with our Tyvek for sure. I mean, you're
100%.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Angela is sharing that Tilson built my parents' house last year, and we are very happy with it. Thank you. And Andy's sharing that the site evaluators with Tilson are great at helping with all those concerns. I do think it was after signing for me that they visited.
Yeah.
And then over on YouTube. So I asked a question last live stream, but I think I need to clarify it. So if I own the land already, the price will be added to the house for the appraisal, but I will be paying the land again when I'm paying for the house.
No.
I'm
glad you asked again. Yeah.
Yes.
Dawn, walking through how that's going to work.
Okay. So it's going to depend a little bit on whether you already own your land outright or if you still owe money on it.
We're saying that he owns it. He's saying he owns
okay.
it. So let's, for this
all right, you own it outright, then no, that is already paid for, and that is what we call your equity. That is your equity that you already own in the home. But the reason when the third party comes out and they do the appraisal for the purposes of the mortgage to determine the value of your home, they are going to count the house, the structure that we're building, as well as the value of the land. Because once that house is built, the two are permanently tied together. You cannot sell one without selling the other. So that's why both of them go into the value of the home. So they're going to take whatever that price is and take whatever that value is. They're going to look at the price that we're charging you and to build the home. Whatever is left over when you subtract the one from the other is your equity in the property. So you're not taking out another loan on the land that you already own. It's just that the value of that land is now part of the house. So they go together. That's why we talk about it being the home plus the land as the final price. So if that's not clear, ask me and I'll try to ask again and I'll try to explain it again. But it's just basically because you can't get rid of, they're together permanently now when we do our job right and build you the house. Like they're never separating.
In Texas, the land is the real estate, right? It's real estate. The home is an improvement. It's a big improvement, right? It's a very expensive improvement, but it is viewed from real estate world as the same as a fence or a brick mailbox or a driveway. It is an improvement to the real estate, which is the land. But the land is the only thing that can convey the land. And if you read the deal, it'll say the land and any and all improvements.
Okay.
The home is one of those improvements. It's fence, septic, driveway, whatever you do to a swimming pool, building, those are all improvements to the land, and they will convey, if you were to ever sell that land, everything on the land conveys with the land, all the improvements to the land. But the land itself is the only thing that can convey. Everything else is it's just part of the land.
Just bonus.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Awesome. Rebecca is sharing that, yes, she believes pinholes through the paint are a texture issue. She's asking if the superintendent's going to know how to fix that.
Yes. So he should, he'll probably get with I would imagine his drywall folks potentially. He'll get with somebody to take a look at that. Yes.
Okay, great. Lisa is saying, rumor has it if I own 2 lots and want to build across the lot line of those 2 lots, then I must replat to combine those 2 lots. Is that
Lisa,
true?
that is a great question. That came up today when I was up at our Waxahachie location. And here's what I'll tell you. That is not up to Tilson, and that is not up to you. And that might be a good thing, by the way. That's not up to us. It is actually up to the county and or the title company that's going to be involved. So primarily it's going to be whatever county you're building in. Sometimes the subdivision itself has a restriction, a deed restriction, allowing for that to be done. But in a lot of cases, what will really be the kicker is if there is some type of easement going down. So let's say that you had 2 lots. I remember a terrible picture, Dawn. Sorry. Just 2 lots just side by side like that. No big deal. 2 lots that each have like utility easements going down them. Sometimes you'll have to get those easements vacated. In other words, if a power company or gas company, or it could be aerial, it could be underground, whatever. If there's easements going down the side, not building lines necessarily, but easements, that will usually be the big kicker, because those easements will have to be vacated by whoever already has those easements. So if the county has already granted an easement to the XYZ power company or co-op or water entity to be able to put water line, power line, whatever down this, they usually will require a replat in that case, because you'll have to have those easements vacated. Right. So that because you're going to build a house on
otherwise they have the right to come dig up your house.
Yeah. And we don't want that. So I will say it's not a carpet. In all cases, you must have a replat done.
That's probably the problem. There are 20-foot utility easements for each lot.
Right. So we're going to need to talk to the county, and we can help you with this process. We can talk to the title company and find out who actually has the easements, because it'll be in title. It'll be recorded. And then also have a conversation with the county or with a local registered professional land surveyor, because that's who will have to do the replat if one is in fact required. But the county will tell us whether or not they're going to require a replat. And if there's utility easements, probably so, because they're going to want those vacated.
Okay. All right. Andy is saying the site evaluators with Tilson are great at helping. Yeah. He said that on Facebook too.
Love it.
We've got Martina asking, I talked to construction and sales regarding our kitchen island. I need to know the next steps. The distance without counters is 27 inches from the oven cabinet to the island. Our oven doors are 21 inches long. This is not a safe distance to use the oven.
I guess the next question is that we talk to our builder yet to have them take a look at this and look at the plans.
Yeah, she says she's talked to construction.
Okay.
Yeah, I was trying to pull the plans up to see if I could see. I think it's probably obviously the lower oven that we're mostly concerned with in this case. There's double ovens, and she's indicating that I guess when she's going to open that door, she's concerned there's not going to be enough space between that and the island.
The island.
Yeah, and yeah, without looking at the actual design and not and knowing for sure. I think it's a Hidalgo. Does that sound right? I'm looking at this right. Yeah. So it should be. I mean, unless we made a bunch of changes to it, because we have the model in San Marcos, and yeah. I would certainly talk to the builder and let's see, and then maybe we can get. I think Mitchell could probably help it with that too. I think that's the regional construction manager out in the.
Is that in North Texas?
Hamilton, Evant. It's kind of that. It's north central Texas is really what it is. So you're talking, northwest of Waco, Hamilton, Evant, that area out there. But yeah, certainly let's take a look at that and see what if anything can be done. And maybe you can let us know if the appliances are installed already. Because it would be interesting to have the appliances installed, but not the countertops yet, right, Tom? Like that would be it's reading as if the countertops aren't there yet, but maybe the appliances are. And I don't think I've ever seen that.
No, I don't think that's the case. Yeah, that's
yeah.
So we may not be working with all the details just yet.
Yep.
Okay.
I'll reach out to Mitch.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Our person with the question about how the land and the house go together understands now, so that's good. And then asking, do you start paying taxes on land as soon as you buy them, or do you start paying when you have a house on them? He's looking at Texas Grand Ranch and Republic Grand Ranch.
Yeah, taxes, they begin immediately.
As soon as the government gets wind that you might own something, they're going to tax you.
Yeah, the county gets they're very efficient when it comes to those kinds of things. It's strange how that works. But yeah, man, they are going to definitely, like, as soon as the property conveys. So actually the way it will work, I know you're coming from Florida. Let's say that you buy it and you close in October. And what will happen is whoever owns the land now, they'll basically pay. They're going to estimate, the title company is going to estimate what the tax is going to be for a year, which they have a pretty good idea of because there's a bunch of lots in those two places. So let's say the taxes are $800 a year, $900 a year on it's probably more like $1,000, isn't it? I'm dating myself a little bit, getting old. Let's say the taxes on those vacant lots is $1,000 annually. Okay, actually, let's say $1,200 because it's a much better number with 12 months. So let's say it's $1,200 for the year. They will estimate and say, okay, you're closing in October, so XYZ who's selling it to you, they're going to 10 months of the taxes will come out of their closing proceeds. We're going to estimate 2 months of taxes for you. That's part of your closing cost. So they estimate what the taxes are so that they're ready to go and already ready to pay them going into 2023 to be able to pay 2022's taxes. And then, yeah, you'll pay annually on those taxes right up until you build on it. And then it'll be up to you, depending on your equity position, if you want the mortgage company to what's called service the loan, or what we hear called escrows. So traditionally, if you have on conventional loans, if you have less than 20% equity, most mortgage companies are going to require that an escrow account be set up, and they're going to service the loan. In other words, they're going to pay the taxes and the homeowner's insurance every year, and they're going to include those numbers divided by 12 in your monthly mortgage. If you have 20% equity or more, they typically give you the option. You can either have those escrows and let them service it, or you can just pay them once a year annually as you see fit. The theory, I guess, being that if you have that much equity in the land, the odds of you not paying your property taxes and losing all that equity to potentially lose your property with the improvements is statistically lower because you have more skin in the game, more equity. But that's how that works.
Okay. Then we have Alex saying, Lisa, Liberty County and the title company allowed it for my grandparents back in 1998 since they had already built their Tilson home on the easement. So giving Lisa advice on how to get the utilities cleared. Martina, who was asking about the oven, no appliances yet. Countertops are in, but I measured before they arrived.
Got it. Okay. All right. That makes a little more sense to me.
And the island was changed from the 2-1L and Small Center Island to the Canyon Model Island. So it's probably what. All right. And then we have Lakeisha asking, does a lot need to be cleared before starting the building process? And does the land need to be paid off?
Okay. So before building, Tom, what do you say?
Absolutely. Yeah. We need to have, like you were saying earlier with our folks out there, they'll stake where the house is going to go, and obviously depending on what you want cleared, obviously where the house is going needs to be cleared, and then the buffer outside of that. So yes, to answer that question, yes, we need to have a clear lot before we start building.
Now, Lakeisha, to start the process of going into a design center and even starting the paperwork, like getting under contract with what house you want, the answer is no, you do not. So that's why I want to be clear and delineate what we call the building process is after all the design and permitting and engineering and all that stuff is done, HOA approvals, whatever, then it goes to Tom's team to actually build the home, to do the physical labor to build the home. In that case, yes. But in the case to start the paperwork part of the process, typically no. I mean, you do not have to have that lot cleared yet. In fact, we would tell you not to do anything with it until we come out there and take a look at it. I mean, unless there's just, some scraggly trees, for a fact you don't want, or have it at least underbrushed. And actually this picture in the background is a pretty good indication of what underbrushing is. You can tell that it's been hydromulched and the main trees are left standing, but we can actually move around and have a laser level shoot the grays on the site. And you do not have to have that done, and you do not have to have the land paid for to start the process either.
Okay, perfect. Our Florida friend is sharing, I found you guys through Texas Grand Ranch website, and the first video I watched was the Driftwood model tour, and I was wondering if all Tilson homes come with an attic.
Tom, what do we do?
So I've been here for quite a while. I've not seen a home without an attic. So yes, all of our homes come with an attic. Absolutely.
Yeah, I know in Florida it's not a thing necessarily.
Yeah.
That's where he's coming from. Is not every home has. And I guess where you're from, Ohio, they all got basements, right? And that's
flipped it upside down. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, big fat no here. So you're going to get an attic. We actually have to provide a certain amount of. I mean, obviously, we do larger than normal openings. I will say. I think the code will allow for like a 24-inch. We're doing 30-inch wide, I believe, 30 by 54s, with big, nice, sturdy, ladders. It's not designed to have a bunch of storage up there. In other words, we don't calculate the load to do that, but you can store stuff. Don't tell your significant other how much you can store because you'll end up anyway.
Look, rule of thumb, if it is difficult for you to get it up that ladder because it's so heavy or it's so big, it probably shouldn't be up there.
Probably shouldn't be hanging around up there. Yeah.
Probably shouldn't be there. And
then we have to deck you a path to the mechanical equipment. So to your HVAC unit, water heater, if it's up there, anything that might need to be serviced. We have to deck a catwalk of sorts to get there. And of course, underneath where that's going. Understand that when we deck that is ideally for access. If you pile a bunch of stuff on that decking, whoever's going there to service it is not going to be able to get to the equipment. So great question. But yeah, you're going to get the attic. And I think I remember doing that video.
Yeah.
That is an important point, though, with the attic. It is not designed for storage. We don't engineer it for storage. We don't design it for storage. Your Christmas lights and your light items, those sort of things, absolutely, it's okay. But yeah, when you start putting the heavy things up there, it's just not made for that.
Yeah. Top of your house should not weigh more than the bottom of your house. It's just a good storage.
True.
Good storage rule. Andy is asking if we do asphalt drives or would that need to be done on our own after the build?
So no, we do not. I've not, at least in my experience, we don't do that here. I've just never had anybody ask us to really do any asphalt drives. I've never been really approached by it, but I'll direct them in a different direction. We don't have the capabilities of doing that.
No, and I mean, unless concrete's just crazy outrageous where you're building, which it probably is because it's outrageous everywhere right now. But I would steer you towards concrete, or you just crush concrete. Get a good stable base underneath it, and then do actual concrete. I mean, I've never seen an asphalt drive that didn't need to be redone.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So, I mean, I get it. It certainly costs less than concrete, but I'm the older I get, the more of a believer I'm becoming in the buy once, cry once theory of
yes.
You're going to end up paying for the equivalent of a concrete driveway by the time you get the asphalt the way you want it. Yeah. In my experience,
no doubt.
Okay. We have Julie over on Facebook sharing that one of the most impressive things I've seen so far is the different crews remeasuring and walking around with a level and a tape measure as they build. This is just one more reason. There are lots of reasons that we are glad we chose Tilson for our forever home. So thank you, Julie. Will had to leave us. He's got to go. Y'all have a safe and blessed week. Got to clean up the stuff done, especially after yesterday's storms. Hope to be ready in a couple of weeks. So Will is going to let us come out to his farm and film. So we're very excited to show you guys what he has going out there since he's moved in.
See you later, Will.
We have Caesar asking, I am a framing contractor. Who can I reach out to about joining on as a trade partner?
Send us a private message through Facebook, or I guess, or if you're on YouTube, you can do it there. But get us your information, and we will get it to the Tom Homer equivalent of whoever's over that area.
Absolutely.
Yeah, just tell us where in the state you want to work, and we will pass it along to the correct team.
Yeah.
And then Angela is asking, someone was talking about studs being 2x4 or 2x6. What is Tilson's standard, and what about the R factor on installation?
Yep. So we do 2x4 walls majority of the home, depending on what the design of the plan. Now we do 2x6 walls. Typically, when we do some mechanical outlets, as far as plumbing, electrical, those sort of things, we'll make sure we have a 2x6 wall so we can fit all of the plumbing, electrical, or HVAC inside a wall. So 2x4 is our standard.
On 16-inch center, by the way, that I want to point out, because a lot of the guys you'll see that do 2x6 exterior walls, they do it on 24-inch center, which is fine. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. It does structurally, between doing 2x4 walls and a full OSB wrap.
Right. Yeah.
The house ain't going anywhere.
No.
You are good to go, and you gain living area that you lose in a 2x6 wall. The other thing was the R factor. So as long as this is bat insulation, so if you're climate zone 2 and we're doing bats, you're going to have an R15 in a 2x4 wall. You'll have an R21 in a 2x6 wall. If it's spray foam, I know everybody don't scream. The R value is actually lower in a spray foam. So you're going to be closer to like R11 in a 2x4 and R19 or so in a 2x6 wall at best.
Where's Angela from? She didn't say where she
does not.
No. She's also asking if we can explain instant hot water versus tank, and with the instant, where would that be placed?
So I think folks they get a little confused on tankless water heater. So
do it, Tom. Do it. You know where you preach it, brother. Preach.
Instant hot water, I don't think exists. So I think tankless is endless hot water. So you could turn that water on and run hot water for as long as you have power and gas. So
spoiler alert, you're going to wait a minute for it to get there if you're not right next to the tank.
It's going to be you're going to still wait for it, but there is not an instant hot water. Now you can get quicker hot water with a recirculating pump in a particular area, and that's just another tangent we can go off of. But the hot water, there is no instant hot water. You're still going to wait for it. Tankless is endless hot water.
Yeah, and on the tankless, they can be in the attic or outside is where we install them most of the time, right?
Yeah, garage or attic.
And so, Angela, to kind of build on what he said, I've seen people like at their kitchen sink or maybe a bathroom sink, they install you can actually have a water heater directly underneath there. Tom's suggestion on the recirculating pump is the best option if you truly are concerned with having, and they're usually on timers, right, Tom? They run between like 5 and 8 in the morning, and then maybe again in the evening as people are showering or washing whatever. But truly, you can do that on a tank or tankless system,
right?
And so that basically wherever you are, if you turn the hot water on, there's hot water, but you're paying power to circulate. It's a pump, right? Which is another piece of equipment that will go bad. But I really appreciate Tom clarifying the difference between instant and tankless, because there's some funny marketing going on out there, misleading people, misinformation, even if you will. Misleading folks.
Angela's clarifying that the reason she's interested in the tankless is she's afraid that the tank is going to leak from the attic.
So she's a tank water heater. She's not referring to a tankless.
That's why she's interested in the tankless. Like the reason she's asking about her tankless options is she's concerned, since we put the water heaters in the attic, that a tank might leak.
Well, there is a pan underneath the tank in case it does start to leak. Same with the tankless. I mean, we've got a pan under that as well. There are connections to that as well. You're making connections to a tankless or a tank. So the risk of a leak is obviously there regardless. but there is a pan underneath both of them in case they do start to leak, which goes to the outside of the home. So
yeah, it's not just a
So
fixed
it's got a
spot.
drain kind of built into
Exactly.
it.
The
Exactly.
pan has a pipe coming out of it that goes out.
Right.
The other thing to think about, Angela, is in either event, you can move if you're doing a garage, that water heater can be brought down into the garage, tanked or tankless. Either one, if that makes you feel better. I do. If you're really, really, really worried about it, the tankless is the way to go, and put that joker outside. If it's something and maybe you've been burned before. Anybody? Nobody?
She says, this is why these lives are such a great idea. I have lots of questions. And she's clarifying on her R factor question. She is from Hockley.
Hockley,
yeah.
Excellent.
So your time is on 2. You'd be insulation.
Right.
Okay.
Bat insulation. We're going to go ahead and insulate your home.
And then Andy, who was asking about asphalt, is asking if we have any idea on pricing for concrete in Grayson County.
I do not, but your building superintendent and or your sales consultant could work on getting bids on that. I'm careful to call it. Now you're in that part of North Texas. It's pretty flat for the most part. There are so where I get real, because what we're talking about is called flat work. Okay. Sometimes flat work turns into not so flat work, right, Tom?
Oh, yeah.
And so it's a good idea to maybe, and we could probably calculate it for you. If the site evaluator you were bragging about earlier, we can calculate it when we're out there. Your builder could calculate it. Is that safe to say, Tom?
Absolutely.
Yeah, we could calculate that, and then we could work with the contractor on getting a bid to do flat work. We just want to make sure that if there's build up to go into the garage, something like that, because when we say flat work and we're getting a bid for flat work, we're talking 4-inch thick, 3.5 inch thick flat work. It does not include having to build up.
Depend on dirt. Yeah, if you have to bring a load of dirt out there, maybe 6 loads, depending on how long it is. Yeah, that's a great
work.
You just forget about the dirt work you have to do to prep that. You want dirt instead of more concrete. Obviously, dirt is cheaper than concrete. So.
Exactly. Nailed it. So great question, Andy.
All right. Our Florida friend's looking for a tax loophole. Since you will be technically paying taxes for your land, is that correct? And if it is, will the house raise your taxes on both? So you'll be paying the taxes on the value of the land when you purchase it. And then once you improve that property with the addition of the home, the county's going to come out and say, oh, look, now all of this is worth this. And then they tax you on that.
Yeah.
And then when you make money, they're going to tax you then. And when you sell, they're going to tax you on the gain.
And when you die, they're going to tax you then.
They're going to tax. Yeah. If you, when you give it to your kids and they inherit it, they're going to pay an inheritance tax on that. So there's going to be a lot of taxes.
Yep. Well, he told us last week he's very, very young. So welcome to adulthood.
Well, they get you coming and going. He probably knows that by now. I think he's
and you get to pay taxes for schools, even though you don't have kids yet. I think
also true. Yes,
that's also. And when your kids are out of your house and they don't go to school, or if your kids go to private school, you still pay for public schools. It's a great system.
Y'all are depressing Andy. Now stop that.
We have Jabo asking, hi, although Tilson doesn't do this work, I'm leaning on your years of building experience for an opinion. Do you all prefer copper or poly for underground propane yard lines? And please explain why.
Wow.
Pop quiz, guys.
I will tell you this. I've never had any experience with poly underground for propane. It's always been copper. So I don't have an opinion on that. Copper is obviously the way to go. I'm preferably, I would say. But I don't have experience with poly.
I guess I've seen poly used for natural gas, right?
Yeah, they do that. Yeah, that's for natural gas. I don't know why it would be an issue with propane. I've just never seen it done with propane.
And
not sure.
Yeah, you wouldn't want to do it with steel pipe in the ground, right?
No.
Right.
No. So yeah, I don't. I'm with Tom. I've not seen it done, but I would ask the propane company, quite frankly. My guess is if you're asking, they offer both, maybe. If they're comfortable with poly and it's a little bit less, I don't see why you couldn't go with it, but maybe I've just never seen it.
Okay.
Yeah, don't know.
I've seen copper for a long time.
Yeah.
So.
Jabo is also responding to Angela's water heater concerns. Tilson was able to add a small room closet to an exterior wall to hold our water heater and water softener. Low cost, peace of mind. I recommend doing that.
Look at that. Look at that.
People helping creative people. Solutions.
So
we don't even be here anymore. We'll just set up a forum. Y'all can talk to each other. Thanks, Jabo.
Thank you, Jabo. And that is actually the last, I guess we'll call that a question that I see.
Right on time, too. Well, guys, hey, look, obviously, we are super grateful that Tom, thank you for coming and doing this, man. I appreciate the insight.
Yeah, thank you, Tom.
Good stuff.
Thanks for the leadership you provide your guys out there in the field and the experience you give to our customers. We'd really appreciate it. Dawn,
and apologies to everybody for our Facebook snafu. I'm not sure what happened, so I was trying to do my best, copy and paste it, and get your comments up there.
This. I love all the Tilson folks all around the state, but when I see my Gulf Coast people shine on here,
makes them happy.
There we go. Yeah,
makes them happy. Yeah, if you're happy with your Gulf Coast builder, holler in now and let Tom know. It makes his day.
Absolutely.
And yeah, I blame the metaverse for this not working.
Mm-hmm.
Don, you are in control of the metaverse, so please do something about the metaverse.
I'll work on it. I'll get right on it after this.
Call Mark, Mr. Zuckerberg, tell him that you've got a problem. We demand to talk to him. And then also, obviously, thank each and every one of you for watching today. We're grateful for you. Again, we wouldn't be doing this if it weren't for you. We would have no business. Mm-hmm. We would have no reason to reach out to you guys. So we're grateful for each and every one of you. Thanks for hanging in there with us, folks that have been in this for a while. That maybe started the process before things got crazy, and you've hung in there with us. We're grateful for you. We're grateful for everyone that invites us in on this journey. And so we hope these are helpful to you guys. We got other places you can find us. Obviously, got the website. We got Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. There's a wealth of information on YouTube. We have our 12 design centers mentioned earlier that all have samples and staffed with very capable and competent consultants that can walk you through this process, answer every one of these questions for you, just like we can. And then, that's you can't hide from us. We're here for you.
Yeah,
so
we found you. Yeah.
Yep. If you got questions, ask us. The models are coming along great in Waco. So if you're in the area, stop by. And other than that, we genuinely assume to make you part of the Tilson family. So see you guys later on.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.